just do not care.
Take that thing, take that thing.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 4 films that make up March 27th, 2015. March has not been a good month for us in 2015. The best movie we had the entire month probably was Cinderella, and every other week it's been mostly films that were terrible. A lot of the year's worst movies came out this month, a couple of movies that were actually not that bad that people hated. And yeah, this weekend in particular, there was 2 big new releases coming out that I was expecting a lot from, and boy, were they massive disappointments. So let's start off with the least bad of the 2, and that is DreamWorks Home. And as you saw from that trailer there, you have a little bit of the good and a lot of the bad in that trailer in particular, but we'll touch on that as we go along here. In this movie, Jim Parsons plays O, a lovable misfit from another planet who got that name because anytime he says hello, you know, everyone's just like, oh, like, that's funny. That's a funny little gag right there. He lands on Earth and finds himself on the run from his own people. He forms an unlikely friendship with an adventurous girl named Tip, voiced by Rihanna, who is on a quest of her own. Through a series of comic adventures with Tip, Owen comes to understand that being different and making mistakes is all part of being human, all while he changes her planet as she changes his world. They discover the true meaning of the word home. And I'll just say this right off the bat, this is definitely the better Rihanna voiceover in a movie than Smurfette and Smurfs. I mean, Rihanna at least sounds like the person that she's supposed to be playing here. Her playing Smurfette, just like, do those 2 voices really sound the same? I don't think so, but yeah, DreamWorks has actually had some pretty good movies over the last couple of years. I mean, their only real flaw from the last couple of years was Turbo, but even then, it was at least a unique idea that just didn't work because the comedy and the story and the animation was not that great overall. This definitely is not one of their better movies. A better title of this would be Go Home and Watch the Better DreamWorks Movies. I mean, this is one of their worst movies. I mean, yeah. Like I said, Rihanna is a very talented musician and can be a good actress given the right material, and Jim Parsons can be very fun too. I mean, he's great as Sheldon Cooper, and he's proven that he can be a more than capable actor in a number of other different things that he's been involved in, but this movie is nothing but a cheap marketing ploy. In fact, I'd be willing to bet why this movie is nothing more than a cheap marketing ploy is because Fox itself, who did the exact same style of marketing for this movie than they did with the recent Blue Sky Studios films. I mean, literally, watch this trailer and then look at some of the trailers for stuff like Rio 2 and Epic and Ice Age Continental Drift, and it's literally the same type of marketing here. I mean, what's the marketing for this been focusing on? The voice cast. You got Rihanna, Jim Parsons, Jennifer Lopez is playing her mother, Steve Martin's in this. You know, the soundtrack, songs by Rihanna and Jennifer Lopez, but not the movie itself. It's the same marketing ploy that Fox used for their Blue Sky Studio films, and the bad ones. The three terrible animated movies that were generic as all as hell could be. And they passed it on this movie too, but DreamWorks isn't fully out of the gate on this, considering that this was made by the studio that was planning to release 3 films per year, proving that they cared more about quantity over quality. Then again, to be fair, their 2014 output was actually really good, with Penguins of Madagascar, Mr. Peabody and Sherman, and How to Train Your Dragon 2. Even Disney, Pixar, and Universal, as well as Warner Brothers, know to go for at least 1 movie a year at that point with their animation studios. But then again, Pixar is going to have 2 animated films this year, and one was really good. The other was a steaming pile of garbage. All the good time on that one. So what is it about the movie that I really don't like about it? Well, for one thing, it's Rihanna just being Rihanna, and Jim Parsons being Sheldon Cooper as an alien. Not only that, we've got Jennifer Lopez essentially playing herself, and Steve Martin being the carbon copy asshole leader here. More on that a little bit later, but the point I'm trying to get across is that nobody is really trying anything with these roles whatsoever. It's literally like watching Shark Tale again. The worst DreamWorks animated film ever made. You just have Will Smith playing Will Smith, Renee Zellweger playing Renee Zellweger, Angelina Jolie playing Angelina Jolie, Jack Black playing Jack Black, and Robert De Niro playing Robert De Niro. We've seen the cast play their roles better, and they are offering nothing new to these characters whatsoever. Like the year before, you had Ty Burrell as Mr. Peabody, and I'm seeing him playing a different character than I'm used to seeing him in. Or just in the last movie that DreamWorks did, Penguins of Madagascar. I didn't see John Malkovich playing himself as the villain. He was an over-the-top, cartoonishly evil villain that was very intentional. The puns he gave in those movies, in that movie alone, proved that. And for DreamWorks to stoop this low, to a low that Blue Sky was at this point, it's painful to watch. And it was painful to watch at many points in this. More so, most of the film's focus is many of the boov. Dear Lord, that sounds like something a 5-year-old would come up with. The boov. hating on O because simply and effectively, he's annoying and he makes mistakes. And also the Boov are best at running away, and they feel that everybody would be much happier being abducted and taken to Australia. I mean, this is based on a book by Adam Rex called The True Meaning of Smeek Day, and judging by that plot, they only took key elements of that film to make a movie of it work. And as in the book, the Booth sent everybody to Florida, while in the movie they were being sent to Australia, and the alien is given the name J-Lo instead of O. So a little bit of a mix of a good thing or a bad thing. But the biggest point of the argument I'm trying to make here is that they have no reason to hate O whatsoever. Because everybody makes mistakes. Everybody, even the aliens, make mistakes, such as when they're trying to steer away from O and end up crashing into an elevator of faulty technology where their devices have a send to all feature next to a send button on emails, which makes no sense whatsoever. And the one character you really hate the most is the captain, played by Steve Martin. And Steve Martin is a very funny guy. Nothing bad about him whatsoever, but he is not immune to really bad roles in here. And he's just given a really bad role in this movie. Like, it's just him playing a dumb, half-wit leader who does nothing except proclaim how much better he is at everybody, and basically starts whatever kind of wars you want because, he's the leader of this group. He can do whatever he wants to. Boy, this sounds very familiar to what's happening now in the world, but keep that aside. There's one scene in particular where he just calls him out because he makes mistakes. Not just calls him out, but flats out insults him with one stupid argument after another, and that's it. They don't even give Odo a chance to defend himself because he has to prove how much of a leader he is. Like, it's one of the dumbest things ever, man. Like, again, very much like today's world that we're living in right now. But he's very much worse than the master of Lake Town and Alfred from the Hobbit movies in terms of annoyance and how easily he gets away with the shit he does. This is such a predictable story and so paint by the numbers. They don't even try to do anything new or different with it. You have every cliche storyline they go for, and they do it in the most predictable and cheesiest way possible. The biggest problem with the film overall is that it's the literal definition of pandering down to the kids, because it's a movie that copies from other kids' films, such as having characters doing stupid dance scenes at the end, like what Shrek did, passing off the Boov as characters similar to the Minions in Despicable Me, trying to make the cat, who for some reason is named Pig, one of the more memorable characters, like in many Disney movies, because the comic relief usually is more memorable than the main characters, and having Rihanna and Jennifer Lopez singing the songs to the soundtrack, just like how Phil Collins did it in Tarzan and Brother Bear, and even lazier when the bad guys in the film actually turn out to be cute characters, just like in Chicken Little. When you have to rip off Disney's worst animated movies, you have fucked up big time. And I know I'm being way too harsh on this, because I expect better from DreamWorks Animation. This is nothing but a cheap, poorly made marketing ploy, with no thought or effort put into it whatsoever. The characters are stock, the story is weak, the comedy is lazy, there is just nothing of interest here whatsoever. Yeah, little kids will get a kick out of it, it appeals to them, but there are much better movies out there for the kids to see besides this. I mean, this is just pathetic. I mean, this is right up there with some of the worst animated movies done by a major studio. I mean, this is right up there with stuff like Rio 2, Epic, Ice Age 4, The Lorax, Cars 2. Yeah, this is the bottom of the barrel. This is one of the worst things I have ever seen from DreamWorks. And the good news is that it will get better when they put out their next movie, which will be Kung Fu Panda 3, but you still have a long way to go for that one. So this is their big magnum opus for the year, and man, it was a mess to sit through. It was torture to watch this movie again. I mean, I thought maybe as time would go on, it would get better, but no, it's gotten worse. So, but like I said, it's the most tolerable compared to our next movie, which is the other big new release of the weekend, and that is Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart starring in Get Hard.
Get hard. We're gonna go get you some protection on the inside.
Who the hell are you?
I don't think they've ever seen a white person before.
That is not the problem. Rated R.
No, they're looking at you because you're trying to rip off a much better movie again, except this time, unlike the other movie you did, you're not getting away with it so easily here. So this is Get Hard. Will Ferrell stars alongside Kevin Hart. Will Ferrell plays a millionaire who's nailed for fraud and bound for San Quentin prison, and he turns to his Darnell Lewis, played by Kevin Hart, to prepare him to go behind bars. The problem is, Kevin Hart's never been in prison before, so yeah. First sign right there that you have a premise where Will Ferrell's going to somebody that he thinks has gone to jail before, and he's never done that. So there's warning sign number one. And the idea of Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart working together has a lot of potential to it, and for the most part, they are the strongest thing about the movie. They have good enough chemistry to work off each other to the point that they usually do have the best moments in the film. If the movie had been more focused on the humor between the two of them, I would have liked this movie more. The problem is, though, that is not the movie. That's the only thing I could say about the film I actually like, because, my God, this movie was unbearable. Like, Home, I can understand why some people would like that movie, and mostly little kids will enjoy it, but this, there's no excuse for how bad this movie is. Let's start with the plot. Will Ferrell's character is charged with something he didn't do. He needs the help of Kevin Hart's character to survive in prison. He later finds out that his boss, played by Craig T. Nelson, is the one responsible for this whole thing again. I can't believe that Will Ferrell is ripping off Trading Places again. This is the second time in the last 3 years where Will Ferrell starred in a comedy that's very much Trading Places. The first one was The Campaign, which was much better and was a lot more creative with it. This one's not even trying to hide it. Like, dude, if you seriously want to remake Trading Places so badly, just go and remake Trading Places. You're Will Ferrell. I'm sure the studios around this time will let you do it if you want to do it. It's not like every other movie ever made has been remade, so just get Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart to star in an actual remake of Trading Places instead of just making a comedy around it and pretending like, no, we didn't rip off Trading Places. What are you talking about? Like, the first time we were let go because you made a good movie in The Campaign, but this, oh dear God, they aren't even not trying to hide it whatsoever. They also never give a reason why his boss and his future father-in-law, nonetheless, would frame him for this crime, except that, hey, I'm better than you, so fuck you, you're taking my rap. We can clearly see that Will Ferrell's character makes money for the company in an early scene where he makes $28 million a day, so why would you frame your best worker like this? In, once again, Trading Places as well as Fun with Dick and Jane, both Dan Aykroyd and Jim Carrey were good at their jobs, but at least the rich bosses they worked for had reasons for framing the people that they did. In Trading Places, the Duke brothers used Aykroyd's character as part of an elaborate bet. And in Fun with Dick and Jane, Alec Baldwin's character uses Carrey's character because he knows that he can't do shit to him because big business rules over. In the movie, there's no other excuse except that, no, your name came up on this piece of paper, so, surprise, you're taking my shit. I mean, second, the cast in this movie is wasted. And I mean wasted. Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart have proven to be great comic talents over the years, and while they work well together and have a couple of funny lines, Will Ferrell's typical shtick gets so old so goddamn quickly. This does not change that much, especially when the film literally opens with Will Ferrell doing his now traditional crying scene in the movie, which I'm really starting to realize that it's not a good sign for any comedy when your opening scene is nothing but somebody crying. And I'm looking at the first episode of Mom, where you have Anna Faris. Literally, the first time we ever see this character is literally 5 minutes of her just bawling her tears for no particular reason because they think crying over the toply is funny, and it's not. And that show was not that good. I'm sorry. I know there are Mom fans out there, but that show was fucking terrible and a waste of Anna Faris and Allison Janney's characters overall. But at least Will Ferrell is trying, which is more than I could say for Alison Brie. And this is somebody who I've really loved, both for her comedic talents in the Community and the Lego Movie, and the fact that, yeah, she's a beautiful-looking woman. And yeah, there is definitely scenes where this movie looked like it was going places because, yeah, she's in this movie wearing sexy lingerie, and it's rated R, it's a raunchy comedy. You would think maybe she gets naked at some point, maybe something like a little bit of reminiscent of, Margot Robbie in The Wolf of Wall Street. But no, she not only does not get naked in this, but the scene of her in lingerie is very early in the film, and she's not funny at all in this movie. She is the spoiled daughter of Craig T. Nelson's character, who's about to marry Will Ferrell's character, and she does nothing in this movie except try to be sexy by spouting out raunchy lines that don't make any sense whatsoever and being rich and pompous. Nothing funny is coming out of her mouth. We have physical proof that this woman can be very funny and is very good an actress, but my God, this movie is only a ploy to trick people into thinking that she's going to be in this sexy lingerie throughout the course of the movie. That means she probably gets naked, and no, none of that happens, and worst of all, they don't use her to be funny whatsoever. She is terrible in this movie. This is probably the worst thing I've ever seen her in, where she's trying to be funny, and it's not working. The same can also be said for Craig T. Nelson. What do I need to say about him? He's a great actor. I mean, he's been working for 3 decades up to this point when this movie was coming out. Coach, Parenthood. I mean, I don't need to tell you how great of an actor he is, but man, this movie, he is not even trying at all. Like, he is just I mean, the problem is they're not giving him any good material to work with here. And if that wasn't bad enough for this movie, and I could just stop right there, if that was all that was wrong with this movie, you could probably already get the idea that, yeah, maybe you should avoid this movie. But no, it gets worse with the offensively bad racial and gay humor. I'm not even kidding. The attempts to try to be edgy and raunchy are so bad. They are literally on the same level as The Love Guru and how stupid that is. Do you realize how low you have to sink to be able to rip off something on the levels of The Love Guru? Where do we begin? Let's start with the racial humor. The problem with the racial humor is that it's not written well at all, and it's because it's literally written by 3 white writers. And now, before anybody gets mad, let me explain myself. Anybody can write a person of a different race and make it work, but you need to have somebody who can write a person of a minority correctly. We know that Ian Roberts can be very funny. He was on Reno 911. Him and Jay Martell write for Key and Peele, which is a funny show. So it's not their fault that the racial humor in this is terrible. I put the blame solely on Ethan Cohen, the co-writer and director of this, because for him, instead of going for something very funny and clever, maybe attributing more time to the script to Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart, he just goes for the cheap way out, creating the same black person, the same white person, the same Latino, the same white supremacist cliches we've seen done over and over and over again. Now, you would think the black humor and the racial humor in this movie would be the ultimate thing to turn you against this film, but no, this movie can't just go down that route. No. That's nothing compared to the large amount of gay humor they throw in this movie. There's literally a scene in this movie where Kevin Hart tells Will Ferrell's character that he has to learn to suck dick and takes him to a restaurant filled with nothing but gay people. And not just gay people, no. We're talking cliched gay people. I'm talking about gay people that, back in the 1990s when we had no idea how to write gay people in movies and TV, they did this in 2015. It's at this point in the movie where I literally said to myself, fuck this movie, and I almost walked out. No joke. I literally was 2 seconds away from walking out of this movie. But I powered through, I finished the rest of the movie, and honestly, looking back, I probably wish I should have. That's how bad this movie is. This is one of those movies where I literally almost walked out and basically said I couldn't take it anymore. Because not only is it bad because it's just forced to the point where you're literally beating your head against the wall as it's playing for how stupid it is, but it's bad because no gay person acts like this. We're way past the point where this type of gay stereotype is acceptable to anyone anymore. This wasn't 1999. We have so many TV shows and movies that have written gay characters in both comedic, dramatic fashions, horror movies, you name it, much better than this pile of shit. This right here is inexcusable, and the filmmakers who made this should be ashamed of themselves for reducing themselves to such a ridiculous low. I mean, I could go on forever and ever talking about how bad this movie is, because it's bad. This movie is a waste of your time, it's a waste of comedy, it's a waste of great actors, the potential this has. There is so much more that you could be doing with your life than watching this movie. There was so much more that could have been done that would have made this a great movie, but no, they took the half-assed approach and made a steaming pile of shit. I hate this movie so much. This is one of the worst movies I saw in 2015. This is one of the worst comedies I've ever seen in my entire life. This might very well be the worst comedy I have seen since The Love Guru. That's how bad Get Hard is. So yeah, that's Get Hard. And again, I could go on forever, but there's so much more. We've already spent a lot of time talking about not just the first movie, but the second movie too. We still got 2 more movies to look at here, so let's get away from the bad stuff. Let's get back to the somewhat good stuff. I mean, this is probably the best movie that we'll have this week. We have Ben Stiller starring in Noah Baumbach's latest film, While We're Young.
I got shin splints.
Being around them energizes you.
What is that, a hoedown?
Hip-hop.
We're worried about you guys. What's with the hat? What? You're an old man with a hat.
What's going on? Well, for one thing, these are people our own age.
We're just 25. I mean, we were, but, you know. For the first time in my life, I stopped thinking of myself as a child imitating an adult.
Feel that way, too?
Yeah, I never realized it until now that this is the thing that Family Guy was trying to do an episode on back in a couple years ago. Because, yeah, this is literally the same premise as that episode of Family Guy where Peter and Lois befriend a 20-something couple, and so they basically go and pretend to be 20-somethings themselves. It doesn't quite go down that route in this movie, but yeah, it's very similar to that. You have a New York City-based documentary filmmaker and his wife, Ben Stiller and Naomi Watts, as a couple in their 40s who develop a friendship with a couple in their 20s, played by Adam Driver and Amanda Seyfried. You also have characters played by Charles Grodin and Adam Horowitz, also Brady Corbett, who of course will later go on to direct The Brutalist, and I guess that's it. Peter Bogdanovich is also in here too, and like I said, this is directed by Noah Baumbach, who has made a couple of movies we talked about on the show, Squid and the Whale, Margot the Wedding, Greenberg, Francis Ha, and this is another one of those movies where, yeah, it's really solid overall, and comparing this to that Family Guy episode I was touching on, this is definitely much better than that. I mean, I don't think that's really much of a stretch overall, but it is a very interesting film overall, where you have this couple in their 40s, meaning this couple half their age, and seeing how they're living life in general here. And it isn't a movie like The Internship, where, you know, the whole movie is nothing but, you know, making fun of the old people because they don't understand computers and technology and all that type of stuff. No, this movie isn't like that at all. This one is much smarter. This one actually has a purpose to its setup overall, and it is a very engaging film, and it really does show these actors working very well here, and you get a sense of Adam Driver's potential as an actor. I mean, we already saw him in This Is Where I Leave You the year before, and we already knew him from his Working Girls, but this is one of those movies where it definitely shows his potential and range as an actor in general. And of course, he's going to have a big year at the end of the year with Star Wars The Force Awakens, but this was another one of those movies where, you know, you're seeing the example of a really good actor starting to build his repertoire in the years to come. And yeah, this is an outstanding film that doesn't really get the attention I think it deserves. It's a really good movie, and one I would recommend checking out if you haven't seen it. Definitely check it out while we're young. So with all that said, let's go ahead and wrap our show up by taking a look at another major misfire here. And ladies and gentlemen, we have reached maybe one of the biggest bombs of the year. Bradley Cooper in what is arguably one of his biggest bombs in 2015.
You won't. Serena, rated R, iTunes and on demand, February 26th, in theaters March 27th.
No. We're not in Aloha yet. No, we're still about 2 months away from that one. But yeah, people forget that this was another high-budgeted film with Bradley Cooper in 2015. That was a bomb overall. But trust me, Aloha is the one that is the bigger bomb than this film. But this one, yeah, this one's not a hit on any stretch of the imagination. But this is Serena. This is a film about a newlywed couple, George, played by Bradley Cooper, and Serena Pemberton, played by Jennifer Lawrence, who begin to build a timber empire in the North Carolina mountains in the 1920s. Serena soon proves herself to be equal to any man, overseeing loggers, hunting rattlesnakes, even saving a man's life in the wilderness. With power and influence now in their hands, the Pembertons refuse to let anyone stand in their way of their inflated love and ambitions. So yeah, remember movies like Places in the Heart, you know, those farm movies in the 1980s where, you know, everyone was trying to create an environmental farm film in general. This film very much is like that film. This is directed by Suzanne Bier, who had directed films we touched on before, Things We Lost in the Fire, and is that the only one we've covered on this channel? I feel like we've done more. Let's see. No, we didn't cover those films. I think this is the second film we've done with her as a director. But then again, this is the same director who directed Bird Box, which was a movie that everyone loved when it came out, and I hated that movie. We'll get to that one in 2018 for sure. But this is one of those movies where it's trying to be this big, sweeping epic of a movie, and yeah, it just didn't work overall. Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence had that great chemistry that they showed in The Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle, and they're not the problems with the movie in general. The problem with the movie is pretty much everything else. Like I said, it's one of those movies that's trying to be this let's protect the environment that they're working for movie. You know, films going back to stuff in the 1980s, like, you know, In Country and Places in the Heart. You know, what was another one? They had a lot of these movies back in the day. The River was one of them. I can't remember some other ones, but they were all over the place back in the 1980s. But the problem is, this isn't the 1980s anymore. This is 2015, and this movie gets pretty boring really goddamn fast. And as much as you can say the performances by the two leads are great, yeah, this thing just doesn't work overall. This was supposed to be originally a Darren Aronofsky movie with Angelina Jolie in it, but of course they both dropped out, and so they changed it with Suzanne Bier and Jennifer Lawrence. And I don't even think Darren Aronofsky and Angelina Jolie could have saved this movie in general. I mean, it's a movie where there's literally nothing about it that makes it worth it in the end. It's a boring film. The characters are not that impressive overall. The writing is not that great. It's a lazy type of a film, and it's just... you just never really come out of it feeling like you're getting anything from it. It's just like, why are we even here at this point? It's a snooze fest of a film with literally nothing of value to it whatsoever. Just not a very good movie. Just not a good film whatsoever. And I mean, it's bad, but it's at least not as bad as the two wider releases that we had this weekend. Those were much worse. But this, it's a film where it's just like, I mean, I can't say it's one of the worst films of the year, but it's not great by any means necessary. Not much more I could say about it overall. That is Serena for you. So there you go, boys and girls. That is the end of one of the lesser enjoyable marches we've ever had to cover here on Time About the Movies. But I assure you that the next month is going to be at least better. At least the first week of April is going to be better because we have Paul Walker making his final appearance in the Fast and Furious franchise with Furious 7. This was, of course, the movie he made before he passed away in November 2013. Furious 7. That's the big new release that we'll take a look at. And then we have Ryan Reynolds starring alongside Helen Mirren and Simon Curtis's Woman in Gold. We'll take a look at that film, and two movies to take a look at to start the month of April off here. Hopefully we'll get better results than what we got in the month of March, and I think we will, because there are some good movies I remember coming out around this time, and we'll get to them all a good time. So, with all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.